In New York City, migrants are being offered $10,000 MasterCards. That's just a credit card with a balance of $10,000 to spend that they don't have to pay back. How do they get this? No ID check, no restrictions, no fraud control. What could go wrong? Now, if you are able, sometimes I ask for these things and I see the chat is unable. Try to put aside for a second the fact that this is not fair. Especially if you live in New York City, your taxes are super high, one of the highest in the country and also the world. And your tax dollars are just being given out on credit cards. I know it's infuriating. Put aside for a second. Clearly, it's also not safe for them as well. They are living with desperate and often violent organized crime gangs, which we're going to prove to you in a second. We're going to see the New York City police chief telling us about how violent some of these organized crime rings are. And so vulnerable people in vulnerable shelters have $10,000 cards. They're going to be targeted. Yes. Right? So we're saying we care so much about them, but we're making them less safe. Now, this was a problem in 2017 when the UN World Food Program was dealing with refugees from the Syrian war, the Obama war. Let's leave that aside for a second. These Syrian refugees escaped to Jordan. There were hundreds of thousands of them. And the WPF had set up supermarkets in the camp. Here is a picture of one. Now, they didn't want to give the refugees credit cards because the credit card companies charged a lot of fees. New York City's fine with that. I'm going to show you that in a second. And they also didn't want to give them IDs because they had done this before. And tribal leaders had stolen and traded them in order to get the balance of those cards and those IDs. So what did they do? They set up a blockchain, giving each refugee credits linked to an iris scanner. Now, I present this to you. This was, you guys, 2017 in Jordan. They could do something with a blockchain linked to biometrics.
They don't want biometrics because they don't want to be on the hook for having to track any of these people. They're fine to track us.
Right.
But they don't want to know. They don't want to know where any of these people are going into the United States.
So not only did the WFP say that this blockchain system reduced fees by 98%, that means more food for the refugees, less for the credit card companies, but they also allowed it to be safe and secure, and they were able to track it, right? In New York City, one of the financial hubs of the world, we cannot do this. We're not able. New York City says, screw that. We like bank fees. In fact, they're paying $53 million to the credit card company that's handing these cards out to migrants. That's $53 million in fees only that they have marked of your tax dollars. Doesn't count the money that they're putting on the cards at a rate of $10,000 each. So as the Post rightly points out, these cards will be stolen. Don't think they're not gang members who are not going to know about this and go for them. And there are no restrictions. Unlike the Syrian camps, the money can be used for anything. You can buy some luxury shoes, AirPods, whatever. Even SNAP recipients don't do that. They have to only use their credits on authorized purchases. And also this can be given to minors according to the contract with the bank. If the cards are distributed to anyone under 18, the city shall confirm the minor's card holder's parent or guardian. Okay, but they're not checking IDs. So how can they do that? You can just grab any kid off the street and come and say, yeah, this is my kid. Give him a $10,000 card. Now, in February 5th, just a few days ago, a briefing with New York City Police Commissioner Eddie Cabin, he said this about just how sophisticated migrant criminal rings are. He calls them ghost criminals.
Today, we are seeing similar situations with migrants. They're essentially ghost criminals. No criminal history, no photos, no cell phone, no social media. Sometimes we're even unclear on a name or a date of birth. And on top of that, these operations are extremely sophisticated. They intentionally try to evade the police.
Okay, so putting $10,000 cards in front of them? Go ahead.
It's insane.
Well, it's like we can't even, if we go to Chase Bank and I wanted to send Philip $10,000, I can't even do it because they think I might be funding a terrorist. Right? You can't send that kind of money to a U.S. citizen.
Right. It'll be flagged. But we can give it to illegal immigrants in the United States that don't have an ID. We don't even have a residency. We don't even know where they live or hang out. We're not tracking them. And God knows where they're going. I mean, it's...
And if it falls into the hands of these ghost criminals, which it will, they can't find them. That's what Eddie Cabin said.
Not even fall into the hands of these ghost criminals. Many of them are. Many of them already are criminals to begin with.
Well, I wouldn't say most. We really...
Well, do you know?
No, well, that's what this whole press conference was about.
But the idea that we're giving them...
was about how most of them are not, but the ones that are pretty effing bad.
But the problem is we don't know anything about these guys, right?
Sure.
So how can he even stand there and say that we're giving them to the good guys? We're giving them to the good illegal immigrants.
That's not what he said.
Well, and that's
that's what essentially what I'm saying is then it's now going to trickle down into the hands of the bad guys.
Absolutely, that's what will happen. Yeah.
Well, and they're wanting to do background checks for guns and all this other stuff. But it's like these people have zero background checks, so you don't know who you're giving weapons to.
Right.
Or, I mean, like money to get weapons or whatever.
Yeah, right. Okay, so back to the cards themselves and how much this is costing the city and taxpayers. Well, the New York Post was able to publish the contract that New York City made with the bank that is setting up those cards. They are Newark-based Mobility Capital Finance. They go by the term Mofi, which, if you speak Spanish, makes me laugh because moco means booger, but that's what they call him. So the city contract says this booger contract was referred to by City Hall. Basically, they met at like a cocktail party, this guy. This sounds shady AF to me. Government contracts are supposed to be open for bidding. People go to jail when it is proven that they did not openly bid government contracts. So how did this happen? Nevertheless, Mofi got the contract. The Post reports that it is owned by an emerging provider of service called Wole Coxum, is the manager of this. He says, here he is in an Aspen Institute panel in just 2 years ago, saying he realized after he had a George Floyd moment that if people of color create wealth, that will help everyone. Listen.
Around about me. So my name is Lear Capital. I'm founder of Mobility Capital Finance, which we affectionately call Mofi, and I spent 20 some odd years at Citigroup and Willis and JP Morgan, all really great organizations, and gave me a good overview of financial services, and had my George Floyd moment at the death of Michael Brown, really thinking about how can I be a part of the conversation to bring real solutions to close the racial wealth gap in this country. And I decided that Mofi, as an entrepreneur, building a neobank, that with that focus would be my way of contributing to the conversation.
Okay, so it's not a terrible idea, right? Helping people of color create their own wealth would indeed help a lot of societal problems. But his credit card company now is taking so much money of taxpayer dollars that is not then going to these immigrants, right? And so is that legal? Was he just given this lucrative contract as a diversity hire? Did he have to bid it? Are these the most competitive fees that the city could have negotiated for taxpayers? Or again, is this a diversity hire? Well, let's look. Here is the fee schedule that the city will be paying for these cards: a one-time setup fee of $125,000, 3% fee for the first 50 million plus $350 per card. Now, again, remember that in Jordan, they could do this for close to nothing with a blockchain. They're choosing not to. Originally, Mayor Adams had said that this program would be for approximately 500 people at a rate of $1,000 per card, but now it's clear that many more will be getting these cards at a rate of $10,000 per card. Now, the mayor's office says that this will help reduce waste, and this is the part that just floors me, because I am not a mom who will short order cook for my kids. If you don't like what's served, you're going to eat it, and I'm not going to hear about it. But we're going to treat migrants differently. They don't have to eat the food that we put forward for them. They say that this is going to reduce waste because the meal service that they were providing to these immigrants sometimes got wasted. They didn't all like it. It says they don't eat all their food. It doesn't meet all of their dietary needs. So, in my house, it's not a take it or leave it situation.
Wait,
It's a take it or take it.
Wait a second.
But for migrants, yeah.
Wait a second. So they're getting one of the main reasons here. One of his main reasons is it will reduce waste inside the shelters because they're not eating the food that we're giving them. So we're giving them debit cards so they can go out into Manhattan somewhere and go to a TGI Fridays
and pay retail prices on Uber Eats or whatever.
It's a stimulus. It's exactly what this is. It's a stimulus program.
Yeah.
So the fraud that's
I wonder what they would do if a homeless person walked up and asked for that same thing.
Well, they don't know who these people are, so of course they can.
Right.
I saw a meme today that said Maui residents in Lahaina are coming to New York City to ask for their $10,000 debit cards because they only received $700 from Biden in rebuilding in Lahaina. This is American citizens who've been totally left behind, but we're okay to help Hondurans and Guatemalans and Chinese and whoever else that come into New York City. And by the way, so what do they even need $10,000 for? They're getting free room and board in luxury hotels. They're getting 3 meals a day. They don't have to work. They get a cell phone with a cell phone plan. What else do they need? Why do they need $10,000 for rent?
Maybe their card gets shut off if they don't vote blue.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It continues to be reloaded for every Democratic cause they support. Also, the Post makes this point is that we know how to feed people with various diets. We do it in prisons. We do it in schools. Why can't we do it for migrants? Why is it okay and I realize, if you ever go to a lunch cafeteria at an American school, the amount of waste is really hard to watch, right? But we still do it. We don't just say every kid can just order in Uber Eats, whatever they want, right? That's not a thing. So why for migrants isn't a thing? Oh, also they can withdraw the full amount at an ATM. Now, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said that this is New York just being...
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. You just dropped that little bomb on me. They can take out the whole $10,000 at an ATM. I can't. I can go and get $200 out at a time.
Well, I don't think they can do it at a time. I think they'll meet the same restrictions of 200.
So they can just stand there and keep withdrawing it.
How would they meet the same restrictions? They won't have an account.
Right? I'm not sure.
That's true. That's a great point. And you want to talk about crime? You're worried about the cards. Now they're walking around with a bag of cash. All these people are just walking around with bags of cash.
Right.
I'm sure they won't use it on any kind of drugs.
Right. So again, not only is this not fair, it is stupid. And I've got to think that there's going to be some investigation of how this bank got this contract, because it's clearly not a competitive contract in the hub of the financial center, New York City of the country. And then this expensive credit card contract, it's stupid. Again, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said that New York is just being so effective with all of their migrants. They're doing a great job. But now they need just a little break, little breather, she says.
Are being so effective. We have 175,000 migrants who came here. They came here for a better life. They came here for a job. But our city and its resources are absolutely overwhelmed. We need a break.
We need a break. We just need a pause, like a vacation. Maybe here's an idea. Maybe Lawrence O'Donnell could have followed up with a question. You have all these aircraft. You're spending all this money, $10,000. Why don't you send them on a vacation, like a nice holiday? Mm-hmm. We could provide that for them as well. They've got nice room and board. We could also send them to Disney World for a little while or so.
Yeah.
Send them on a nice vacation. You think about the services that are absolutely being taxed right now in the United States, and this is going to massively, we're already seeing the implications of this, going to massively influence the 2024 election. In fact, election fraud, by the way, has already started thanks to the border crisis. We're already seeing it. And you have members of Congress who are openly admitting that this is going to help them win seats. This is all part of the plan. I've co-authored a special report with our friends over the Wealth Research Group. We went through this over the past week, examining how exactly this is going to impact our United States election in 2024. We're already seeing this, how it's going to be tied directly to the influx of illegals coming across the border. And so if you want to visit and grab this free report, we're going to be doing a lot of these over the course of the year as it's tied to the election and the economy. So grab this free report. You can read it in like 7 minutes. It's a great report. Redacted.inc/illegal. Go there and get it for free. Again, you can read it in about 8 minutes. And you can share it around because we go through in detail how this is already impacting the United States election process. Think about it when you have, I mean, just if you think about it in these cities where the purple areas, which may have not necessarily voted Democrat fully, now they're going to be fully voting Democrat in this upcoming election cycle as a result of this. You get $10,000. Here you go. Vote for your candidate of choice. President Biden just canceled your student loan debt. Now he's giving you $10,000. The government, the Biden administration has such a big heart that they're going to basically be buying votes here. So anyway, go check out that free report. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. You know, YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.